Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk. Now, you would think that this is a reptile podcast, and it is, but it's not just that. I want to talk to anybody out there. If your life is devoted to animals, I want to talk to you. I don't care if you're a reptile keeper, I don't care if you keep ants, birds, fish. I don't care if you keep ferrets. I don't care what you keep. If you keep animals, there's a good chance I'm gonna reach out to you and want to chat and see what you got going on. I love animals. I love the conservation of animals, and that's what it's about. Just animals in general, man. So I'm super excited. Today's going to be a fun one, and we'll talk about that in a second. But before we get started, much love to all the podcast sponsors: MKL Exotics, Fry's Critters, Mad River Serpents. You already know ball pythons. There's so many King's Reptiles. There's one in the chat, Fry's Critters. Low Life Exotics, just so many amazing people support the podcast. Ozzy Boyd's, just much love to all the podcast sponsors. Make sure you go check them out, especially for us critters, because he's an amazing guy. Now, before we get started, man, I want to tell you this guest is such a icon in the hobby. I've been trying to get her on for a long time. She's absolutely crushing it. And I'm gonna be honest, if I had an Uno card, I would give it to her. Meaning I'd take her life and I let her have mine because she's done so much amazing, so many amazing things. So when we come back, we're gonna have just Emma from M Exotic, man. I'm just so excited, man. So when we come back, M Exotic in the building, okay? Don't go nowhere.
Whoa. Big reptile talk. Yeah, we working. Talking about service. Big reptile talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah, know that we got what we think. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles.
M Exotic in the building. How you doing today?
I'm really, really well, Derek. How are you?
Excited to chat with you, man. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it. Like, we didn't start where we are today. We had to start somewhere. So I want to kind of take a time trip, time travel. What were you doing before animals?
Wow. Animals have always been a huge part of my life, and I know that's a massive cliche to say, but my earliest memories of them are stuffing earthworms in my pockets to the point that my mother sewed up my pockets so she would find no more earthworms in the tumble dryer. And then from there, I've had so many different jobs from when I was 11, growing up in Hong Kong. I worked as a dog catcher for the local rescue groups, bringing in feral dogs, training them and placing them in homes. I also worked in a pet store. I've been a zookeeper, and I've worked my way all the way up to here we are today, where I am as Exotic.
Now, see, we got to talk about that. So before we get into the animal part, I want to talk about that. You've been now you sent me this and I looked it up. It's a fact. You've been in a movie. Like, how did this happen? The Human Centipede Part 2. First off, how did you get the movie? Like, what was your experience doing the movie? Like, how did you like it?
Well, I actually went to theatre school for a few years to battle my own inability to publicly speak. I knew that I had this desire to be able to communicate with people, and I really was not particularly good at that. So I used to work as a construction worker. I put myself through theatre school, and upon completion, I got called for my first big audition, and it was for just a horror movie. They didn't say anything else other than horror movie. And I walked into this cinema, movie theater, I think you call it here in the USA, and there were all these women sitting there, and they said, "This is your audition. You just have to make it through this movie." And it was the screening of the first Human Centipede film. And let me tell you, I was cracking up. I had never seen it before. For those of you who are watching or listening, it's a wonderfully romantic film about teamwork. It's wonderful for date night. I highly recommend it.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Like to be able to say that you've been in a movie, that is so incredible. I'm jealous.
It was a lot of fun. You know, I had a lot of raised eyebrows at the time, but I made it through the screening process, got the job, and it has been one of the most fun experiences of my career so far. And I'm such good friends with all of the cast. It was a real pleasure to be in
I
that
love
movie.
that. I love that. Now I want to give you a hot seat question. I love that. Now,
Go for it.
now since you've been in a movie, I want to give you a hot seat question. Let's say I was a movie director. That is a two-part question. Let's say I wanted to shoot a movie about your life. Who would be the actor? Anybody in the world? Who would be the actor if I was shooting a movie about you? And what would the movie be called?
That's a great question, Derek. I've never been asked that. There is an actress who's fantastic. Her name escapes me, but she's from Shadow and Bone. I'm not sure if anybody will recognize who I'm talking about, but she's a phenomenal actress. Shadow and Bone. I would choose her because she just represents such a vast array of emotions. She can be so innocent at times, which I have been long ago. And she can also be such a warrior as well. And I've grown so much and changed over the years. I would need the actress to be able to portray accurately growth and evolution and not always being pretty. It's been a rough ride at times. So she would be phenomenal. And I suppose the movie, gosh, that's a great, I don't know what I'd call it. You know what I do? We'd call it Evolution. There we go.
I love that. I love that. Involution. I love that.
Evolution.
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, I'm glad. Watch this space.
I love that. That's awesome. That is so dope. I love that. Now, I know you said you've been dealing with animals your whole life. You know, earthworms in your pockets to where your mom had to show up your pockets. I love that story. But what was like the first animal though that just really set it off for you, to where you were like, you know what, this is it. I really want to be about animals.
That would be when I brought home my first ball python, and I brought home a ball python because I developed awful allergies for a time to every single furred animal that I came into contact with. I had awful asthma around birds, so I couldn't keep birds. I could not be around any furry creatures, which really was heartbreaking for somebody who grew up catching all the different wildlife she could. So when I considered a pet in my teenage years, I really had to consider, what can I keep safely? And snakes just was something that I grew up around, that I would constantly catch, not knowing whether or not they were venomous or not. I probably would not go back and do the same. If I could tell myself as a youngster, maybe we shouldn't pick up every snake we find, I think I would. But that was really a turning point for me, because that's what really got me into my fascination with reptiles, was bringing home one animal that I could keep safely for myself.
Now your mom or your parents, were they okay with it? They're like, okay, you know, she can't keep an animal, you know, a cat or a dog. She's allergic. We might not like snakes, but because she's allergic to cats, we'll let her keep it. Like, how were they? Were they pretty cool with you keeping a snake?
Oh, absolutely not. No, they are not animal folk in the slightest. They were horrified. My mother, who is extremely religious, for me to bring home a snake, which is a serpent of the devil, was not a particularly welcome thing. But I took the stance that it was better to beg forgiveness than ask permission.
I love that. That's what I tell my wife. Is like when I get a new animal, they say, did you tell your wife? I say, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Exactly. I'll stand fast to that.
I love that saying. Now I want to get into what you had told me. You were a zookeeper. Like, it's certain jobs that if I ever got that job, it would be hard to give up. So, like, can we talk about your time at the zoo? Like, what part of the zoo were you a zookeeper in? Do you miss it? Like, and why did you end up leaving?
Yeah, so I was a zoological specialist for some time, and I worked with all manner from reptiles to birds of prey, which I actually used to hunt with a few years ago, all the way to larger exotic small exotic mammals such as coatimundi. And I really enjoyed initially being a zookeeper. There is nothing like the bond that you create raising these creatures, from bottle feeding them when they're young to exhibiting them and learning their individual behaviors and giving zookeeper talks. Yeah, that's something I really enjoyed tremendously, was giving these educational presentations to the public, especially for children, and being able to see their eyes light up when I would tell them these amazing facts about all of these individual creatures.
That is incredible. Like, how did you end up getting that job?
I talked my way into it. In the UK, you are supposed to have a degree, a diploma, and I barely have higher education. And people are always extremely taken aback when I tell them that. I was not bright in school. I was held back a year. They thought that I should be in a sort of special needs class because I was very unruly and didn't listen, didn't complete my work. I was essentially just bored. But I did have this passion for animals, and I clearly demonstrated that by showing up and essentially forcing this zoo to hire me, because I just showed up. I wasn't trained. They didn't hire me. I didn't go for an interview. I just showed up and did the work. And after a time, they just hired me.
That's kind of like how Savannah Bone did from Gatorland.
I love Savannah. She is great. What a character. I adore her.
Shout out to Savannah Bone. That's what she did too. Eventually showed up enough times where it was like, just come on, we'll create a title. Just come on in.
Absolutely. You just have to have embarrassing confidence and go for what you want. If you are not working in the job that you desire, make it at all costs.
I love that. That's determination. Now, what made you leave? Do you miss it? Why did you end up leaving?
I left, and it was a very difficult decision because I realized that whilst the public sees the good of any zoo, and sometimes the bad, unfortunately, as a zookeeper, it is extremely frustrating not to have control of the budget, not to be listened to when you let them know that an enclosure does need to be updated or modified, because there's so much red tape to get through. And I felt that in staying, I was essentially being compliant and admitting defeat, that this was okay, the standards were fine. They were not fine, and they would not listen to me. And I wasn't asking the world. I wasn't asking for multi-million-dollar overhauls of enclosures and the introduction of brand new tech. I was asking for the bare minimum: fresher vegetables, more frequent deliveries of insects that we could use for enrichment purposes. And that was all denied. So after a time, I thought, I need to go where my expertise is valued and where it is implemented. And it was a good decision to walk away when I did.
I love that. So you were there, you were just fighting for the betterment of the animals.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about, man. I love that. I love that. That's why you're so damn likable.
Oh, thank you. I will ride off of that compliment for the next 2 weeks. I'm not even joking.
Now, see, I want to talk about content creation, because you are absolutely killing it in content creation, and I want to talk about that. So, what made you want to transition into becoming, a reptile influencer or a content creator? What happened where you say, you know what, I want to document my animals?
Well, back in 2016, I had been working already for a few years as a traveling animal educator. So essentially, I was getting up at 4 a.m. every day, packing meerkats, armadillos, Harris hawks, and going into schools 2 or 3 times, sometimes 4 times, up and down the country. Now, England is a smaller country, but it is still quite a hefty job to have to haul animals all over the country every day. And I realized my animals were just tired. They were just getting tired. I was getting tired. I was not getting home until 11 p.m., packing the animals away. And I just thought, this is not fair. Even though I never worked animals 2 days in a row consecutively, and never more than 2 days in a week, I just felt what if I can do this better? What if I didn't have to travel out? Now, I didn't have the money at the time for an educational center. So I thought the next best thing I could do is to take my animals digital, to become a digital animal content creator. And I committed hard just for 6 months. And now, YouTube is a very difficult game to break into. It requires commitment, dedication, planning. There's so many facets that people don't often appreciate. And within the space of 4 months, I made it my full-time career and out-earned what I'd made in 2 years in 4 months.
Did y'all hear that flex? She flexed real quick. She said in 4 months, she quit her job and was doing YouTube full time, was making money. That's a big flex. Now, and I want to talk about that because that's incredible. And what I mean by that is, in my generation of YouTubers, we could cheat. We don't have to make good content. We can make a short get 500 million views, and you get 200,000-300,000 subscribers. When you came up on YouTube, you had to actually make content that was good and grow a real audience that really liked you. You didn't have a shortcut. You know what I mean? And you did it without being sensational. You did it without YouTube Shorts. You actually look at these numbers, and I want you to tell me how does this make you feel? TikTok 86,000. Instagram 107,000, YouTube 733,000 subscribers. How does that make you feel?
I mean, when you combine it with book sales as well, it feels pretty good. It feels successful. No, it's I do have to say, I still think of myself as that girl in the bedroom with the twinkling lights, just talking about cockroaches. I don't really look at the numbers, because when you get caught up on numbers, it takes away the joy from content creation. So I don't really focus on them. I just focus on creating content that I love for myself. If I am feeling inspired, I'm creating. And if I'm not, I simply don't. Rather than being a slave to the machine, which it can feel like. But you touched on something interesting, actually, Derek, earlier. You mentioned that there are shortcuts now. I would disagree. I think that short form content still has its place in terms of discoverability, and it is important, and can give many content creators such as myself an authentic way to still connect with an audience when you're taking time off from your long form content. It gives you more scope to play and be playful and fun. However, long form content will always be king in my eyes, and it is true. Content, the long form, is still king. YouTube is still king in terms of earning potential, overall discoverability, audience retention, and loyalty. YouTube is still king.
I love that. I used to try to think, when I first came into YouTube, it was like, oh, I need to be sensational and I need to show my snakes doing this and doing it. I don't want to shoot sensational content. I want to shoot content like you, because you're so likable. You just have gained such an incredible audience. I don't know. I love it. Now, for inspiration, I want you to inspire us. Because like I said, on YouTube, I think I'm at 80,000, and we all want to hit that 100,000 mark. So my question to you for inspiration: where did you put your YouTube plaque at, and how did it feel when you got yours?
My YouTube plaque is it's in a box somewhere right now. I did just move house. I just moved from Colorado to Massachusetts, but it will be up on a wall where I can see it prominently. It felt incredible to receive it, because it is truly an honor to know that over, at the time, 100,000 people chose to follow me. And if you imagine even just 10 people in a room, that's huge, let alone 100,000 people wanting to hear me talk about animals, something that in my whole life people have told me, just give it a rest for a moment. We don't want to hear it. That many people cared about what I had to say about a snail and cockroaches, and what truly inspired me. And what I would tell anybody else who's on their own creator journey is your authentic vibe will truly attract your authentic tribe. It doesn't matter what the trends are. Don't worry about the trends. Just worry about making the content that you truly enjoy, that you feel that you can talk about again and again and learn about again and again. You should always be inspired, because people can tell if you are not being authentic, if you are just creating for the sake of creating. They can tell. And why should people give you their time if you're not enjoying your content? So you should play. and not be afraid to play and pivot and change things up a little bit. And you know what? Just say, I don't care if people love this content or hate it. I love it. I'm inspired. It makes me laugh. Just do that. Be authentic, keep producing, keep throwing at the wall and seeing what sticks. And when it resonates with the audience, there's nothing better. It's like just a beautiful song that comes together. People who want to show up and watch the content that you have created and poured your heart and soul into. There's nothing more beautiful than that. You're just touching lives around the world.
I love that. Girl, you're going to make me cry. Girl, I love that. That's a good answer. That's some good advice. I'm myself am trying to follow that now. You know, it's not about trying to, you know, be sensational and do what this content creator doing and do what that. Do what you love and it'll work out for you.
Absolutely. And you know what, Derek? You said earlier, well, I've only got 80,000 followers. If you could imagine, that is the size of some really small countries. That is a population somewhere of an entire population of a country. And when you think about the average, currently to date, the average YouTube upload video gets 12 views. If you're getting more than 12 views a video, you are winning. You are winning hard. You are already in like the top 1% of creators.
But see, let me tell you something. Do you know why I want to hit 100,000? Do you know why?
Tell me.
Now it is because I want the YouTube plaque, but not just that. I have, like I told my wife, I have what's called a no trash number. What that means is when I hit a certain number on YouTube, I'm a celebrity and I can't take the trash out no more.
All right then. So who's going to be taking it out then, if not you, Derek?
See, my wife wasn't going for that. I'm taking the trash out.
There we go. I was going to advocate for her. Otherwise, you'd be on the couch for months. I'd be calling her, being like, listen, babe, we got to talk because you're not lifting a freaking trash bag. Absolutely not.
I love that. Asian Turtle Sanctuary said, Pinky out on that sip. Classic, girl.
Just a little bit. Cheers to you.
I love it, man. Now I want to talk about this, you know, because you're not just, you know, your life is incredible from being in a movie, being a zookeeper to being a insanely amazing content creator. You're not just that. You're doing that. You're breeding. You're following your dreams. And you're breeding animals, and I gotta ask, you know, you're starting in the game of like breeding crested geckos. Like how long have you been breeding crested geckos? This
is my first year actually doing it seriously. I bred 2 crested geckos back in 2013 or 2014, a long time ago, and it wasn't particularly successful. It was an accidental oopsie pairing because I kept a male and a female together. I didn't really know what I was doing, but this is my first year actually breeding reptiles, and it's so different. I've bred birds of prey, I've bred meerkats, I've bred skunks, I've bred many giant Indian fruit bats. This is my first time breeding lizards, and it's interesting. It's stimulating, it's fulfilling, it's challenging as well at times because I'm not the greatest with understanding the genetics of the individual animals. I'm not the greatest with morphs, but I'm learning my craft, and I think I'm learning from some pretty good people.
I love that. I love that. Now, what made you say you want to breed crested geckos? Why did you focus on that species specifically?
Well, I think that they are accessible for a lot of people. They're particularly easy to keep when you look at a reptile. They are quite forgiving as a species, and I have made errors in the past that knocked my confidence a little when with regards to incubation temperatures. So I wanted a species that would be as forgiving as I would be committed.
Right. Now, see, I like crested geckos. My wife has one, but I never put one in my reptile room because they scare me, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Why?
I think they're too quick to drop their tails.
Oh, but that's half of the fun. The frog butts are adorable. Who doesn't love it when this, caudal autotomy is just a sexy thing. Imagine you could just break off a limb and be like, nah, see, yeet, and save your life. That would be epic. I'd love to be able to sever a limb just because, I'm not enjoying this date. Let me sever a limb and cause a diversion and get out of there. It's a cool evolution and adaptation. I love it, and I do prefer the frog butts. When they drop a tail, I'm just like, that's how I like you. Mm-hmm.
My wife's crested gecko dropped its tail the first day it came home.
Really?
Yes, and I kid you not. She didn't take it out of the enclosure. She walked by it and it dropped its tail.
You know, sometimes they'll just do that. Thunder, they'll drop their tail. The vacuum goes, they'll drop their tail. And then others, you can accidentally catch the tail in a door and they're like, meh, whatever. It's just down to the individual, Cresty, in the day.
Now see, I love that. I love that you said that you're breeding and you're learning from some people, because there's so many amazing people like you. You're breeding. You have Tiki's geckos. Now, do you feel like people, since you just you just started breeding, do you feel like there's people out there that are accessible and will answer your questions, or do you feel like it's kind of hard to get help with your breeding questions?
I think I will not have the same honest interaction as a complete newbie. People tend to be very kind in the way that they deal with me because I have a following. So I'm not blind to that, and I'm very grateful for it. But overall, I have found people to be extremely passionate and open to answering questions. I can't tell you how helpful Cryptiles, the team at Cryptiles, have been my greatest champions and cheerleaders in my own journey. The folks over at Oklana Zoological, Celestial Exotics, all of them have taken time to sit down with me and look at my projects and explain them to me, loan me animals, help me to understand genetics better. They have all gone above and beyond to help me learn. And that is the side of the community that I love, that there are people out there who will sit down with a newbie and say, this is what you have to learn. This is what you could do better. This you don't need to pay so much attention to. And there's no drama with the people that I deal with. I'm sure there's plenty otherwise, but I just don't engage with it.
I love that. I love that. That's what I love about the reptile hobby, the camaraderie, the people there. If you need questions, you can reach out. I love that. But now I will say this. I like friendly competition. So, after your first or second year of breeding, I feel like you need to reach out to somebody and say, all right, we're going to have a competition. Whoever sells the most geckos this month, I'll buy you a steak dinner. If I sell the most, you buy me a steak dinner.
Other people would win. And I'll tell you why. Because I breed what I enjoy. And what I enjoy is not particularly sexy in today's market. When you look at morphs right now, the axanthic game is strong. Obviously lily whites have come down in price a lot, but people still love a good lily white. Super dolls are huge right now. I don't really breed any of those. I'm into my tigers and brindles, and I will say that with pride. I love those tigers and brindles with their stripes. They're not sexy in the industry, but I am simply just going to breed what I personally like. And if one or two people who are great homes buy from me every year, that's more than satisfactory for me. This is not a business for me. It's simply a hobby, and I'd like to keep it that way.
I love that. I love that. Just, what you're saying is just breed what you love. Don't always try and chase the next morph, because that's not what it's about. Do it because you love it.
Absolutely. And if I know myself well enough to know if I truly want something, I can go and get it. I've proven that over. I don't need to prove anything in this market right now because it's not what I'm chasing. I'm simply attracting community and wanting to put out content that reflects what I'm creating and the reason why. And it's simply to create animals that make great pets for people who really want to love on their lizard.
I love that. I love that. Now, I want to have a little fun.
Let's do it.
So, you first year breeding, but let's say you've been doing it for a while. Let's say a gecko celebrity sale. If you could sell any celebrity a gecko, who would it be?
Taylor Swift, because she has the most pulling power of any celebrity in the world. If I were to sell her a lizard, the whole Taylor Swift army would be wanting to buy their own crested geckos. So it would most likely be her, because there's nothing like a powerful woman to drive sales.
I agree. Have you seen what she's been doing for Travis Kelce?
Oh, absolutely. Travis who? It's all the Taylor show. Absolutely. No, she would be the one that I would absolutely want to sell a gecko to. I'd just give her them. I'd give her my whole self. Taylor can have whatever she wants.
I love that. Now I'm from Kansas City, Kansas, and just seeing what she's doing for the Chiefs is insane. It's like Travis Kelce's jersey numbers have doubled. He's got like three or four extra million followers off of Instagram. The Chiefs tickets have like just quadrupled. She really has a lot of pulling power, don't she?
She does. And not only that, but she's phenomenally talented. And there is this saying that hard work beats talent where talent doesn't work hard. She is talented and she works hard. She is a huge role model for many entrepreneurs, myself included, because she is proof that when you are committed, you're talented, you continue to hone your craft, and you stay true to yourself, you can overcome anything, and you will attract people who will truly advocate for you and care about your journey. I don't believe for one moment that she does not care about her fans. I believe she does very greatly, and that is why she has tremendous success.
Right. I definitely agree. Now you're breeding. If you don't mind me asking, are you kind of just breeding to have a little fun and kind of learn how to do it, or do eventually you kind of want that to be part of your business too?
I do things because I want to learn how well I can do something. If I'm not going to learn or grow from something, I simply won't participate. And I've never really bred reptiles. I have had tremendous success with birds of prey, with fruit bats, and with coati, meerkats, armadillos, a whole slew of other animals. I have never had particular success with reptiles because I've never pursued it. But it would be nice to know that I can and do something well. So that's really what this is about. It's breeding in small quantities, breeding well, and understanding so that I can bring my own knowledge full circle.
Right. I love that.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a business if I break even, which actually I already have. If I break even, if I turn a profit, great. But that's not the reason why. I've got other businesses for that. This is for play.
Right. I love that. I love that. Now, you and yourself are a business. You know, you're a big dog in the reptile industry. Now, I gotta just to have a little fun. I feel like every business out there has an incredible motto. Like if you look at my shirt, the Aussie Boys,
Yeah.
his is shut up and breathe. Um, Jessica Belka, his is the snakes of today, tomorrow. So I feel like what would be like your business motto? Like, and I said I have one for you, and we're gonna practice it. But for now, I want you to give me what would be M Exotics business motto.
Well, first of all, it's just M Zotics. Thank you very much.
Yep,
And my motto currently is wildly edutaining because it is education and entertainment combined. So we're just wildly edutaining.
I love that. Well, you said wildly entertaining.
Wildly edutaining, education and entertaining.
I love
Wildly
that.
edutaining. But
I
I would
love
like
that.
to hear yours because you've got my brain wondering. I'd love to hear what you've come up with.
Okay, now I like boxing movies, and there was a Creed movie that came out, and it had. Do you know who Mr. T is? I
Yes, I
pity the
do.
fool. I,
Absolutely. What a
all right, so I'm
legend.
gonna put. Now I want you, this shit is going to be your motto. I want you to be this to be your motto. We're gonna
No,
watch
I don't
this.
hate Balboa, but I pity the fool, and I will destroy any man who tries to take what I got.
Now I want your motto to be I pity the fool who doesn't get a crested gecko from M Exotic.
Oh, no, I wasn't laughing at that. That's fine. But it actually resonated more with me that I will destroy any man who tries to take from me what I've got.
I like that too. I like that too. See, you're a fighter at heart, right?
I am. No, I'm nice, but I'm not that nice. No, my business is my baby. It's something I'm very proud of. It's something I defend very ferociously, and that's my projects, my community, my projects, everything I'm committed to. But yeah, absolutely. I think you found the nicer out there version of how I would feel about my geckos. Absolutely, I would love people to buy a gecko and give it a great home. That's the most important thing. And then I just came out with like the dark version of that. I think you always have to have contrast, light and dark, a little bit of balance there. And that's just the duplicity of my nature.
I love that. I love that. Now, if I'm correct, you're what do you do over at Zen Habitats?
Oh, yeah. So Zen Habitats are a fantastic reptile enclosure company. They have patent pending, stackable, collapsible, and expandable enclosures. And I happen to be their director of partnerships and strategic growth, essentially.
I love that. Did y'all hear that commercial we got? She gave us the commercial voice. They're the best cages on the market.
They really are. And they come with a 5-year warranty.
I love that. I love that. Now, um, I think that Zen habitats are some of the best habitats out there, and I'm not just saying that because you here. I want to get one. So what do I got to get? I got to get online and get it, or can I get some through you?
Absolutely. If you want, you can just simply shoot me an email and I'll take good care of you.
Okay, y'all make sure y'all check that. I wanted to actually, I wanted to ask that question so I could say, all right, I wanted to put you on the spot and say, all right, give us a commercial. Zen Habitats, go. And you did it already.
I mean, we can always expand on it. You can probably give me almost any product and I'll be able to work something out. It's just the marketing brain that I've been honing the last few years. And it's a game for me.
And your voice too. Have you ever done any voice acting?
I've done some limited radio work. I have, yes, for the BBC in the UK, which is it's like the biggest radio broadcasting service, essentially. And I'm working on my second book, and I'll be doing the voiceover for that as well, for the audio book. And I think I might even be working on a podcast, but I can't talk about that too much yet because I'm under an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement for the time being. But rest assured, when that comes to fruition, I will be shouting loud and clear about it.
So you are just busy, busy, busy.
Always busy. It's how I like it.
I love that. I love that. Now, for the people that are listening, the people that will listen, we want to know. We're kind of curious. Give us like a rundown. What are some of the current animals you own?
Right now, I have 3 ferrets who I call my stinky slinkies. They are probably one of my favorite creatures in the entire world to keep as pets because it's essentially a puppy and a kitten rolled into one in a compact body that is literally a fur slinky. You can't have a bad day with ferrets. And now they do have quite a fragrant odor. So if you are particularly nose sensitive, they will not be for you. And I am team #sniff-a-ferret. So before you commit, just hold one up to your nose, take a big whiff because you're going to be smelling a whole lot of mustelid if you bring home even one ferret. So I absolutely would recommend having a good whiff before you commit. But I'm nose blind now, mostly from working as a zookeeper. I've smelled some truly horrendous things. I just don't smell anything anymore. So they work perfectly for me. I also keep around 100 crested geckos. I have my dog, Kiba. I have a selection of Asian rat snakes. So Goniosoma oxycephalum is one of my favorites. That's the red-tailed green rat snake. I also work with Goniosoma frenatum. That is the rain rat snake, which is a beautiful powder blue rat snake with a ton of attitude. And speaking of attitude, I have a Vietnamese blue beauty called Blue Cipher, and I love him.
Okay, so you have a little bit of everything.
Little bit of everything, but overall, with regards to my reptiles, crested geckos aside, I'd like to focus on the Asian species that I grew up encountering in the wild, trying to replicate their setups as best I can to reflect how I found them in the wild, and also just giving some love to the species that I feel we've taken for granted. So I'm also heavily into my Chinese water dragons. And for years in the reptile hobby, they have been a throwaway animal that you can pick up for $20, $30. And now they've gone CITES. And you can very rarely find them these days. And I'm very lucky that I have my little reserve of very well-established adults. And I'll be hopefully breeding them for the first time this year. And I'd like to really encourage people to display them as they should be. I keep mine in a 4x2x4 Zen habitat enclosure. It's gorgeous to see them basking and exhibiting so many natural behaviors. That for me is the goal. If my animals can exhibit as many natural behaviors as they can, I know that I'm winning with them.
Right, I agree. That's what it's about, giving your animal the best. I don't have anything against racks, but I think that big, huge, nice enclosures are the way to go. I think that if you can give them just like replicate what you can't give them exactly what's in the wild, but try to replicate it the best you can and make sure they you want them to thrive, not just live.
Yeah, thrive over survive. I like that.
I agree. Now I want to show you this comment and give me, how does that make you feel? Silver Cat, she is awesome, by far my favorite moderator during AnimalCon.
Wow, thank you so much. That is a huge compliment, and I appreciate you so much. It means a lot as someone who could not publicly speak for many, many years. Thank you.
Now, since he broke up AnimalCon, how was that? Being on so many being on so many the things there. What were the stages where you were talking?
The panels.
Panels. That's what I mean. Being on so many panels. How did you enjoy that? You know, just being there for Brian Barczyk, being on so many panels. Give me your experience. How did you enjoy Animal Con?
I will always show up for Animal Con. Brian and I have had a checkerboard history with regards to our friendship. It has been up and down and rocky and hot and cold, but the last few years, have really arrived somewhere where we can see eye to eye, and I appreciate him for everything he has done for the community. It took me getting off of my high horse and expecting everyone to live up to my standards and realizing how selfish that was of myself, and really looking at what good he has done. And he's done a tremendous amount. And behind the scenes, he's done things for me that I will never talk about. He has been so kind to me in so many ways, especially following me fleeing domestic violence. He was there for me in ways many weren't. So I will always have tremendous love for Brian. The panels themselves, it's an honor to sit on them, to have people want to take time out of their day when they're on holiday to come and listen to me share my thoughts. That will never not be extraordinary to me, that my thoughts matter that much, that people will sit there and take time to read a sheet of paper and figure out, where is Exotic going to be? Let's go hear what she has to say. And for anybody who's even listening to this podcast or listening at a later date, thank you. I don't take that for granted or lightly. And just spending time with me and Derek this evening, I really appreciate you. So thank you.
See, I'm trying. I don't say this lightly. You are so damn likable.
I'm just me. That's it.
It's certain creators that just put you at peace. It's like you, Brian Cusco.
Okay.
It's so many just creators that it's just like when you talk to them, you're just like, wow. You know, I love it. I love it. Now you have so many amazing animals, but give me your dream animal. If money wasn't an option, if you had $1 billion, you had a zen enclosure that was as big as your house, if you needed it, you could house anything in the world, what would you go get?
All right, well, it wouldn't fit in a zen, let me tell you that. My ultimate dream animal, and I will figure it out one day, is a spotted hyena. I love spotted hyena with a passion. That is a powerful animal. It is so prehistoric looking. It looks like something out of a book about dinosaurs, essentially. They have incredible jaw power. They're so complex in their overall structure and community. And I kind of love the way that the cubs will go to war before they've even left the den, and they'll just tear each other apart, and only the strongest survive. I can appreciate that too. Yes, I can. So I do love the spotted hyena for many, many reasons, and I would love to keep one too.
You know, since we're talking about hyenas, you know what I would love to see?
Tell me.
I don't know if you've seen the video of Kevin from Nerd going to Africa and visiting dingo and singing a lot of stuff. You should do, if you like hyenas, you should go over to Africa, visit dingo, try and find some hyenas.
Dingo is great. He's a good friend. I adore him. Again, Kevin at Nerd. You know, I live really close to him now. He's what a phenomenal, charismatic person. I have been to Kenya before a few times, and every time I went on safari, the only words that I ever said was "Mimi napenda fisi," which means I love hyenas. And everyone would just laugh at me. The guides would just laugh. They thought that I was insane because everyone wants to see the big five, you know, the leopards, the elephants, the lions. I just want to see the hyenas. And the first time I saw them in the wild, I cried like a baby. I was so moved. They are the most beautiful creature in the whole world. I can't express how much I love hyena. I just love them so much.
You see that? I say go to Africa. You're like, I already been there plenty of times. I've been there, done it. I've been to the UK. I've been here. You've been everywhere already. Like I'm legit jealous of your life.
I love travel. It's something I'm looking to incorporate a lot more into. I haven't been able to travel nearly as much as I usually do the last couple of years for a variety of reasons, but not least because I've been so focused on my work. But certainly there are businesses that I look to pour more energy and time and resources into that would see me a lot moving throughout the globe. And that's the way that it used to be, and it's the way I'd like it to go back to being.
Now I got to ask, because you know we were talking about Brian Barczyk. You know, everybody has just amazing facilities. Kevin
Yeah.
has Nerd. Brian Barczyk has his Reptarium. Now he's doing a Legacy Aquarium. And
Yes.
everybody just has, the real Tarzan just built something down in Florida, I think. Everybody's just building amazing facilities. Do I know you're killing it online, but do you ever see yourself opening up like something? I think Clint just opened one too, Clint's Reptiles.
Yes.
Do you ever just see yourself opening like a reptile room or a serpentarium or something where you can do public education, or like a storefront where people could come and visit you and see your animals?
I don't think I'd want to be tied to a location in the way that I might have once upon a time. I had a concept called OWL, which was the Open World Learning Center, and I wanted to create a place where people, especially those with handicaps, could come and get close and learn photography with animals that are at the center, do painting and clay work, just getting tactile and doing artistic things with animals that they otherwise might not get a chance to do. However, I don't know if I would want to be tied to one location quite so much. So something that I'm pivoting towards instead is creating a business that will still help people, but in a slightly different way. I realized how few shelters in the United States are able to shelter battered spouses and people fleeing domestic violence when they have animals. So I'd like to pivot my efforts into creating a business that will be able to give those who are escaping domestic violence and who've escaped financial abuse as well, the means to get back on their feet, to create a product that will be able to generate income to fund more housing and more resources for those, not least to fund attorneys and other significant legal help for those who otherwise wouldn't have the means to defend themselves in court effectively. That's something I feel very passionate about. So no, I probably wouldn't have a center, but I would like to help the way that I wanted to when I thought I wanted to open a center.
I love that. That's such a amazing answer. You're such an amazing person. Because you want to help animals, and you don't just want to help animals, you want to help women too. And
Yeah.
I'll say that, I'm sorry that you ever had to experience, if you did, because I don't know your past, if you ever did experience domestic violence, I want to apologize. I feel like men need to do better. So and I love that you're an advocate for domestic violence. Like what made you want to become that? And like, just talk about that journey.
Absolutely. So I have been very open that I had trapped myself in a very toxic marriage a few years ago. I will not give the specifics of what happened, but I needed to leave very, very quickly. I was not afforded by the courts the protections that I should have been granted. So I just left. I literally packed up a car with a friend who flew over from Colorado and got myself out of there when my partner was not home. And I've rebuilt myself much stronger. I was in pieces when I left. I was very scared. I was very cloudy. And I put my pieces back so much stronger that people from then don't recognize me anymore because I'm that much stronger. So I'm grateful that I was able to have the ability to escape and to heal. Many do not get that. And I wanted to just draw attention to the fact it's not just women who suffer. There are so many men who suffer as well, and there are not enough voices who will advocate for men. And I just want anybody who's listening who happens to identify as a man who is going through anything, that you also deserve to live a life that is free from abuse. And people in general just have to do better. Not men, not women. People in general just have to do better. And I would urge anybody who is listening, who is contemplating, if you for one moment hear in your mind, I deserve better, listen to that voice. Listen and begin making your preparations. It is up to you when you are ready to leave, when you can afford to leave. There are many people who don't leave because there are certain constraints, whether it's family related or financial related. Make your plans and just confide in those who you can to bolster you and give you support. I do believe everybody deserves a life that is free from abuse, and their life after abuse, once you have healed, is beautiful. It's beautiful.
I love that. Like that, your story is incredible. Like an amazing woman that's advocating for animals, and not just animals. You're advocating for people. Like you going to heaven. Like there's no way God could like if you go to up there and God said you're going down there, it's no way. Look at this. Nothing but inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you, Silver Cash 86. You are so kind. I believe not to waste the opportunity that I have. Everything I've worked for means nothing if I cannot help others. And that is why I do everything. It's not for money. It's not for recognition. It is because I'm driven by the joy I get when I can help other people. When somebody comes to me and says, I'm in a bad situation, can you help me? And I can set them up in an apartment somewhere so they can be safe. That makes me feel good. That makes everything worth it. When someone tells me that they need help rehoming an animal and they don't want to do it openly because they're afraid of the backlash, and I can help them place it in a home, especially in a tricky situation like a reactive dog, and I can find a place where it'll be safe with a competent handler. That is why I do what I do. That if otherwise, why do anything at all if it's not helping people? Why?
I agree, man. Just so inspirational. I love it. Now, I gotta ask, when it comes to the animals too, real quick, because I got a few more questions. You have so many crested geckos. So be honest. How much of your time is spent chasing loose crested geckos?
It has never happened. Touch wood. It has never happened before. Not once. I have never had an escapee. Maybe sometimes a baby will yeet itself off my hands and make a mad dash to go underneath the baker's racks. But I'm pretty quick. I've never had one escape me and not be found within moments. No, you will not escape my love that quickly. Once you're mine, you're mine. So these babies, they're not going to go anywhere. They are always going to be caught when they run.
I love that. So no escapes, no escapes. Awesome. Now, anybody to tell you I support USARK. So please, if you're out there, you're keeping animals, support USARK. Now, just for shits and giggles, I always ask my guests that come on. Let's say we were raising money for USARK and we were having charity wrestling matches. I want you to tell me who you think will win. And we're going to start at this out. Right. Brian Barczyk versus Jay Brewer. Who do you think will win?
I mean, right now, Jay Brewer, but, in his heyday, Brian Barczyk had some pretty impressive guns. I've seen him take down a few people with those guns. He was working on himself pretty hard back in 2018, roughly. So he would have won then. Jay would win now. Jay has been working out something fierce. I said to him when I was like, what is going on? This is making me think confusing thoughts here. So, I say that with love. He is a wonderful inspiration in my life. Jay has always had my back. He's wonderful. Adore him.
All right, next one. Dave Kaufman versus Kevin McCurley.
Kevin McCurley. Because Dave would be so preoccupied with how his hair's looking that Kev can just go in for the kill. I said what I said, Dave. I said what I said.
I heard Kevin knows jiu-jitsu in real life.
I think Kevin knows a lot more than he lets on, and I would not want to cross him.
All right, next one. You versus Emily from Snake Discovery.
Me, 100%. 100%. I have so much more weight behind me. And I don't think that Emily has any sort of aggression in her. I have a lot of pent-up rage. And I'm just not afraid to get down and dirty with my friends. So I would absolutely win. There's no competition there. Sorry, Emily, I love you. You win in every other respect. But if it came down to physical overpowering, it would be me. Like I would origami her. She would be origamied and displayed.
Silly. I love it. Now, Brian Cusco versus Clint.
Oh, Cusco. The Clint doesn't have just a bad bone in his body. I'm pretty sure that if he were holding the world's biggest gold bar and someone said, would you just please give it to me? He'd be like, okay, because he's the nicest guy. So I love him, but he's just not he's not an aggressive kind of fighter. So Brian would win 100%.
I love it. All right. Last one. Let's see. Adam Wickens versus Chandler's Wildlife.
Taylor would win, and I'll tell you why. Because you can distract Adam Wickens with a pickle. You just tell him to go along and chase the pickle, and he's gone. That boy in pickles, my goodness, there is something unholy going on there. But you would be able to certainly distract him with a pickle.
I love it. I love it. You know what, Exotic, this was an amazing hour. Your life, it has been amazing, minus the domestic violence part, but even still, something beautiful came from that because you're advocating for people. Your life is incredible. I'm such a fan. Is why I've been reaching out to. I've been reaching out to you for 2 years.
Have you?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I have a team that works with me, and sometimes we just get lost. There's a lot of communication, a lot of moving parts behind the scenes that people don't see. But I appreciate the kindness that you have shown me. I saw some of the artwork that you shared to spread some smiles a few years ago. I was very touched by that. So thank you for being a very positive force right now in the community.
That's love. I appreciate that. Like I said, this was an amazing hour. I don't want you to go nowhere. I want to thank you backstage. So please don't go nowhere, okay? All
right. And thank you, everyone, so much for your time. I appreciate you all so much.
And before we end, I want to have a last question. I want to have a little fun. Yeah. I've had Brian Barczyk on the podcast. Yeah. He'll tell you can have the most amazing video, but nobody will watch it if your thumbnail is crap. True. And I say that to say, for the thumbnail, can we make a funny face in 5 seconds? Are you down?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is. That's the thumbnail.
I was going to go for my trademark, but you said ugly, so I just did my pig face. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm sure there's someone out there who'll enjoy it even more than the peace sign.
I had a freaking blast talking to you. I can't wait for round 2. There's a reason you are where you are. You're crushing it in a hobby, and I see you having millions and millions of even more followers down the road.
Thank you. I'm hitting things hard this year. My energy has been highly restored, and I've got incredible projects going on. There's certainly a lot of things I have not spoken about yet, and I'm really hitting the wider pet entrepreneurial scene very hard to bring some animal tech to the market that I've been working on, which again, I'm under NDA. I can't talk too much about that. And, second book and a whole bunch of other things that are going on behind the scenes with a lot of different businesses. And I'm very blessed, very grateful, feel very abundant, and I'm very excited for the future. And just watch this space because I'm literally just getting started.
Y'all better keep your eye on Exotic. Now, I do got to ask you this because I don't want to piss people off when I reach out to them. Do you bigger YouTubers get offended by that? Like if you say like reptile influencer or pet tuber, is that offensive?
It shouldn't be. It's what we are. Whether we're a content creator, an animal influencer, to me, they're not dirty words. Whatever comes naturally, I am whatever you say I am, and I'm absolutely all right with that.
I love that. Well, you're a queen of what you do. Don't go nowhere. I'm putting you backstage, and because I want to thank you personally, so don't go nowhere, okay?
Thanks, Derek.
Man, that's what it's about. 1 hour. What's up, Exotic World of Geckos? Go back, watch this. This is an hour you don't want to miss. That's what it's about. 1 hour of talking to one of the most down-to-earth women in the reptile hobby. That's what my podcast is about. I want people to come here. I want to learn about people, but I also want to have fun. And we had a freaking blast talking to Exotic. Look at her life. Been in a movie. Zookeeper. Now she's doing her own thing, content creating, breeding geckos, advocating for men and women. Like, what? This is like the Mother Teresa of the reptile hobby. Like, how could you not like her? She's so damn likable. Anyways, man, that's what it's about. This is Big Reptile Talk. Our next guest is probably going to be Garrett from Reach Out Reptiles. I need to hit him up. He said yes. Just need to schedule a date. But make sure you check out all the podcast sponsors. And please, please, please support USART. Until next time, man, I'm Derek, and this is Big Reptile Talk. And we out of here.
Whoa. Big Reptile Talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah.